Hello and welcome. My name is Suzanne Osman, and today I am going to be sharing with you a little bit about my contemporary topic, which is cultural intersections and ethnocultural countertransference in the music psychotherapeutic relationship. I feel as if this topic can be considered contemporary because of the fact of globalization. And in considering people from all over the world constantly crossing paths, it might be helpful to keep in mind that ethnicity and culture have been found to touch deep, unconscious feelings in most individuals. Earlier academic journals in the field of psychology recognized the term clinicians' cultural countertransference, and therapists were encouraged to be prepared to consciously and unconsciously intersect with their clients at many points of contact. There are numerous aspects of personal cultures. The definition of culture has recently grown and expanded to include not only the more familiar aspects such as nationality, racial or ethnic origins, or religion, but also aspects such as gender identity, sexual orientation, age, socioeconomic status, disability, or survivorship. Because these additional aspects have been found to have equally profound impacts on the way people shape their sense of identity. So today I am posing the question, how might cultural intersections inform ethnocultural countertransference in the music psychotherapeutic relationship? There are just a couple terms I want to take a close look at before we move forward. And for my purposes here, cultural intersections simply means intersecting points between two or more people that are rooted in any of the previously described aspects of culture. And ethnocultural countertransference is more specifically focusing on ethnic or cultural components of the countertransference process. We're also going to take a look at interethnic and intra-ethnic countertransference a little bit later in the presentation here. The American Music Therapy Association recognizes this expanded definition of culture. In their standards of clinical practice, it states that music therapy assessment will explore the client's culture that includes, but is not limited to, aspects like race, ethnicity, language, religion, social class, family experience, sexual orientation, gender, social organizations, and the list goes on. And again, this is because these additional aspects have been found to have profound impacts on the way people shape their sense of identity. So there are opposing views on this topic, and the first view I'd like to consider is what I'm calling the positive perspectives, in which cultural intersections inform ethnocultural countertransference in positive ways, providing significant insight into the client-therapist relationship and ultimately acting as a form of support for the therapeutic alliance. In support of the positive perspectives, psychoanalyst Judith Schaefer feels that the identity or character of the therapist is a key ingredient in the therapeutic relationship. She feels that this relationship is an interactional process, and it's a form of therapeutic exchange between client and therapist, in which the cultures of each is interwoven and constantly evolving. She feels that being aware of these factors can support insight and ultimately support the therapeutic alliance. Clinical psychologist Rosemary Foster states that multiple cognitive and affective factors influence our cultural countertransferences. So the clinician's life values, their theoretical beliefs, and then their idealizations, prejudice, or bias towards other ethnic groups and towards their own ethnicity. So the author here feels that all of these components affect cultural countertransference, and being aware of each one of these can help the clinician and provide insight into the relationship and support the therapeutic alliance. Music therapist Benedict Shaibi additionally feels that this form of countertransference can be a tool of insight. She feels that therapists should embrace and use it in a positive way, and that working through and processing countertransferential reactions may help the clinician feel renewed. So not only does it support insight in the therapeutic relationship, but it can help the clinician feel renewed and revived, especially when emotions are getting intense in the client-therapist relationship. On the other side of the topic are the negative perspectives, in which cultural intersections may inform ethnocultural countertransference in a negative way, because culturally informed countertransference can be restricting and stressful, and ultimately it may hinder the therapeutic alliance. In support of this view, clinical psychologists Lillian Comas-Diaz and Frederick Jacobson provide the terms interethnic and intra-ethnic countertransference. They feel that working with ethnoculturally diverse clients can cause ethnocultural disorientation. So this form of disorientation can stem from interethnic countertransference, in which the client has a different ethnicity or culture from the therapist. And the therapist may develop feelings of denial towards these differences, or they might become overly curious about their client's ethnocultural background. They may also develop feelings of guilt, pity, aggression, or ambivalence. And in the instance where the client shares the same culture or ethnicity with their therapist, the clinician here may have a sense of over-identification and develop a sense of us and them. Or they may develop a form of distancing, cultural myopia, ambivalence, or feelings of anger, a sense of survivor's guilt, or a constant conflicting sense of hope and despair. So any or all of these may cause the clinician to experience that sense of disorientation, causing stress and restricting insight, hindering the therapeutic alliance. Brazilian psychotherapist Paulo Ciccarelli also feels that there are aspects that can hinder the therapeutic alliance. He feels that prejudice continue to haunt our imagination. And ethnoculturally diverse groups are often viewed as being primitive or without morals. So this, can cause the clinician to unconsciously have a sense of being the expert in that relationship. He also feels that cultural countertransference produces affects centered on anguish because the truth of the other exposes our fragility. So in working with clients that have different ethnic or cultural backgrounds, there's a sense of fragility, especially when these clients are in a state of vulnerability. But in all, this can be a very stressful experience for the clinician. Psychoanalyst Harold Bloom adds that countertransference stems from irrationality. He does not feel as if it supports the therapeutic relationship in any way. He does not believe that it provides insight into the client-therapist relationship. He feels that countertransference impairs neutrality and it can cloud analytic comprehension. This is a little bit more in line with Freud's perspective of countertransference in the psychoanalytic relationship. And again, this supports the negative perspective on the views of countertransference or ethnocultural countertransference that may arise in the psychotherapeutic relationship. In my own personal views, my own cultural experiences led me to wanting to explore this topic. So as a Lebanese American female, my experiences with early childhood trauma and being born into the Lebanese Civil War, as well as my own experiences with sexual orientation, in that I identify as a queer, and in working with some taboo topics such as hospice and death and dying. So Middle Eastern culture does not necessarily promote working with hospice, or it does not necessarily promote diverse sexual orientations. And some of my experiences here led me to wanting to explore this topic and consider ways in which my own personal ethnic and cultural experiences have affected some of the decisions that I have made in the clinical settings. So in closing, after researching and exploring this topic closely, my belief is that if detected and decoded with care and awareness, ethnocultural countertransference may provide insight that actually supports the therapeutic alliance. I also believe that understanding multicultural perspectives may help discourage prejudice and bias in the field of music therapy. And as a culturally diverse music therapist, that means a lot to me. But even more so in a constantly evolving and diversifying globalized world that we currently live in, I think that the field of music therapy will have much to benefit from further exploring and researching topics such as culture and cultural intersections. And this may help clinicians better serve diverse clientele. So in all, I think it is a win situation. But for today, that wraps up my discussion. Thank you so much for listening and exploring this topic with me, and have a great day.